Hey guys, how you doing? I hope everything is well with you. Yeah. So how we doing for the people? All right, 39, not bad. Start building up. Yeah. So in the chat, let me know where you guys are from. So say I'm Kevin Hawthorne from wherever you're from. I hope everything is good. Hello from New York. Good, good. Thai, very good. Cool. Try French La for this specific case. It's actually easier. Hmm. Uh, Lost the context there. So, I hope everybody is well. Yeah, can you hear me clearly? Is the sound clear tonight? Let me know. Brilliant time, midday here in the AU. Cheers, looking forward to the stream. Hello, Mrs. Svan, hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Very good. You don't look a day over 168. There you go. Yeah, that's it. I'm from Florida. Hey, very cool, man. Well, welcome to the stream, everybody. I hope everything is good. I figured I'd pop on tonight and do a Q&A stream. So if you have any questions, this is the night to ask. Yeah, before I get into it, I always do my book recommendations. If you're a total beginner, I have my book here. Is it going to get in focus? Here we go. So my book, you can get it on Amazon in UK and Canada and US, of course. That's if you're a total beginner. And if you're somebody with some skills and you want to up your game in a big way, this is the book I'd highly recommend. This is going to up your skills in a huge way. I'll cover my face. There you go. This is the Java version. There's a JavaScript version. Again, both are linked below the video. So if you want to get that, I would look at that. Greetings from Austin, Texas. Ivan Mortimer and from Belo Horizonte, Medellín, Brazil. Never heard of the place. Very cool. Well, thanks for joining. I'm from Chile. Sounds great. Cool. From Jamaica. Writing some QPU code with Keys. I've never used. I don't know what that is. Keyskit at the moment. I don't know what that is. Bonsoir d'Algérie. Ne t'inquiète pas. Non, mon nom la falade. Usama Bushbak. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. Best advice for first day as front-end developer. It's tomorrow. Well, stay relaxed. It's your first day. I think everybody's going to expect that this is your first day. So you're just going to have to get acquainted. They're going to set up your computer and you're going to meet people, be friendly. And don't worry, if this is your first day, you will learn the ropes given some time. So that's cool. I hope that helps. I was just waiting 169-year-old developer, man, literally. Brazil. Hey, Jofea. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. So, yeah, so tonight is, as I said in the title, is just a simple Q&A stream. What's that coming in? It's just a simple Q&A stream. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. This stream is going to last about a half an hour because I have a Zoom meeting with a friend of mine after. So there you go. Sound is good. Okay, glad you liked it. Text, all right. Text to speech was fine so far for Fowler's forward, but when I start reading code samples, you go nuts. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that book, refactoring is one of the key skill sets that you have to develop as a developer. I think one of the few YouTubers that actually talks about this. Refactoring skills are far more important than algorithms for most programmers, far more important than data structures for most programmers, beyond the basics. If you want to up your game, you want to level up your game as a developer, you want to learn how to refactor. And this is the seminal book. I've had literally hundreds of books on technology over the years. This is one of the few books I kept from the early days. You know, this was first published in 99. This is the 2002 edition, I think it is. I think I gave away my original edition, so it's good. Actually, that was pretty correct. Hey, all right, Usama. I'm glad I got that right. What was it like for you to live through 2 world wars? Could you code with Ruby? on the Enigma machine. Yeah, well, the Enigma machine needed speed, so Ruby would have they wouldn't have cracked the code until today, so they couldn't have used Ruby back then. Hey guys, how are you, Alexander? How are you? Hello from Paraguay, next to Brazil. Yeah. Best language to learn to begin with. I assume you, Jay, assume you're talking programming language. I would say probably Python, maybe JavaScript, but I would lean towards Python. Around how many personal projects should I do before going into the game and asking for a real client? I would do just one or maybe 2 to 3 little projects, tiny projects, CRUD projects, that kind of thing. Maybe interface with an API, nothing major. And then when you want to go out there and do 2 to 3 free projects, so you can develop some real skills working with people. Okay. Mark Anthony Jones says, got an idea for a SaaS, but know nothing about business or marketing, nor have I ever made one. Any tips? You got to learn. You should take my entrepreneur course. It's linked below. Just go to the Studioweb store there, and I got an entrepreneur course that will help you in a huge way, leveraging my decades of experience in that regard. Yep, refactoring is sometimes a sort of pain. Yeah, but it's a necessary pain. I'm here for the clickbait. We're always there, Mr. Garcia, for the clickbait. I'm 24, changed my career path after some years. I decided to learn to code. What should I learn in 2021 to think of in the future, like in 2030, 40, Python, C++, C#, and Java? Once you become a proper developer, the language is a non-issue. Young nerdling noobs on YouTube will tell you that this language is the must learn, but any experienced developer will tell you it doesn't really matter because, first of all the top languages, they all have jobs, so C++, C, Java, PHP, Python, JavaScript, C#. You're going to find jobs in all of them. Not a problem. And for many years to come. But more importantly, as you become experienced as a developer, you're going to find in your career, you're going to be pivoting. You might start off your career in C#, .NET, and then you find yourself writing some Kotlin. Then you may find yourself doing some iOS. You never know. So it really depends. So it doesn't matter. Pick one. The easiest to learn is probably Python, and from there you can pivot. What I would do is I research. Actually, you know what? If you click on the link below this video, there's a video I put out. It's a webinar, 29 minutes free. And you just got to join my newsletter because I want to be in touch directly with everybody. I talk about each of the languages, what their implications are in terms of jobs, in terms of job prospects, in terms of types of company you want to learn, that you might want to work for. You should check that out. It's perfect for you. So, for example, if you are a professional JavaScript programmer, it's a totally different type of programming than you would be doing if you're doing C++. Like a totally different game altogether. Yeah, so I would just look at that. Again, the link is below. It's free. How does someone deal with tutorial hell? By stop doing tutorials. It's time to go out there and do the real job. You want to do the real job and get out of tutorial hell. You got to take that leap of faith at some point. Yep. What do you think about ethical hacking? I don't know. I'm not sure what the job opportunities are there. I'm not sure what the money-making opportunities are there. So I wouldn't know. I prefer building things. Is it true PHP interpreter got hacked last week? Yeah. Some of the code was caught. They tried to upload some code in terms of the interpreter. I heard about that, but they fixed it before it went production, as far as I understand. It's because the PHP community was using their private repo. So they realized that by trying to manage their own private repo, it allowed for security issues to occur. So now they've moved their code base to public GitHub. I always say that. I've been saying that for a while. It makes no sense that software developers should be managing their own servers. It makes no sense. You should use some third-party turnkey solution so that you can just concentrate on what it is that you do, and that's write your apps Any advice on getting into VR programming? I don't know the space. I know somebody who's getting into it for my mentoring group. I'm sure there's opportunity there. I was just start exploring the technologies, start looking around job opportunities in that regard. But it's kind of new. It's kind of new. So there's definitely some potential there. Couldn't say for sure though. Let me just okay. So what else do we got here? I finished your freelancing course recently. It was very informative and to the point. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. The templates are very useful too, huh? Yeah, it's also the freelance, as you know, it teaches you not only the business end, it teaches you how to manage the project, you know. Usama, I can do front end, back end, mobile with Flutter and some design, yet most jobs seem to be very specific and not sure whether I should specialize or keep being all-rounded. Your 2 cents, please. If you want to go work for a company, you have to align your skill sets with what the company needs, of course. So if the company is doing a lot of Java, you're going to have to learn Java. If you want to be a freelancer, then you have to be more, have broader skills, of course. More importantly, you have to know how to pivot very quickly. You got to be able to pivot quickly. And that comes, of course, with a mastery of the basics. If you want to do freelance, the king of freelance, of course, is PHP and the web stack. In terms of working for somebody, it all depends on where you happen to live. If I recall, for example, Germany is very popular. C#.net is very popular in Germany, as an example. I think India, certain parts of India, I think PHP is very popular, so it depends. I hope that helps. I'm in the same situation. Van South Korea car. I changed from aeronautical engineering to programming. Any recommendations? Write code, man. David, you got to write code. That's the key. You got to get in the ring and start writing code as quickly as possible. Is taking the freelance route recommended for over looking for your first full-time dev job? You can go directly into freelancing if you want. I never had a job working for somebody as a dev. Never. I did my own stuff, and then I started freelancing. I did occasional little contract work, which is different from freelancing. Contract work is when you go work in a company for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So you go into the work and they assign a task to you. So that's called, I forget all of a sudden what the term is. That's not freelancing, that's contract work. Freelancing is when you manage the project yourself, you do it all yourself, so or with your team. Is taking okay? Can I make my own SSL for a WordPress site? How would I start, or should I just buy one? A lot of hosting options will have a free SSL tool, and I forget its name all of a sudden. But a lot of hosting packages have this free SSL. I have paid certificates, but I use the free SSL. You just click, and it's installed. So you should be able to do that as well. How well do I need to know a programming language in order to put it on my resume? You should be just comfortable enough to be able to do basic projects with it. And you just say, listen, I can do this with this language. How to deal with imposter syndrome in first days of first job. Thank you. Hope you are doing very well. I am doing very good, Mr. Ahmed. I think you just have to recognize, as I said before, you have to recognize that nobody knows everything. Even the most experienced programmer doesn't know very much about most things in the tech space. It's so big, it's so vast, you know. So that's first of all. Second of all, you have to understand when you're first starting out, you know, it's normal that you're a little nervous about anything. So just write code, and the more code you write, the more code you complete, the less and less you're going to have imposter syndrome. So it's just normal. Just recognize, okay, this is normal. Don't worry about it. Is using less frameworks, plugins, etc., to have more control over the end result worth the work? Most of the time, no. To aim for a special final product or rapid development, where is the balance? I always tell people, don't look for ways, or don't look for code to rewrite. Don't reinvent the wheel, because there are plenty of opportunities for you to write custom code. Don't go inventing opportunities. Don't be forcing new code writing opportunities. So use frameworks, use libraries that are established and well understood. If you like the stream, guys, please give me a thumbs up so I know and the algorithm knows. Billy Lascano says, any suggestions what to do on choosing what side of the IT industry should go to? That's a lot of tools, i.e. project manager, software engineer. I believe that you should do some actual code writing and building applications before you get into project management. But I know people can go beyond that. Again, that's a personality choice thing. It depends on what you like to do. So I would just experiment with a little bit. I started as a contractor directly after university and was fine. There you go. SkyServe knows the deal. Thanks for the thumbs, guys. I appreciate it. Does a university degree help in terms of networking or attracting clients for freelancing? Attracting clients for freelancing, it's extremely minimal. They just care about what you've done. It could be good for networking, where you make good friends in university and you can maybe, they'll become clients later on. Hard to say, though. I generally say, if you're going to go into debt, don't go to higher education. It's not worth it, especially in the tech space. That's the future, by the way. As a real freelancer, as a really freelancer, you have to sell yourself. Yes, you do. Hi, Stef. Why do some developers hate WordPress so much? And to what extent is their criticism of WordPress justified? Good question. They hate it because WordPress is the plugin architecture, not the architecture, the plugin landscape, if you will, and all the different themes can quickly get complex. It's not necessarily a problem of WordPress, but it's a problem of the WordPress ecosystem. So, for example, with WordPress, you have vast numbers of themes that you can leverage. Themes are the templates. The templates could be visual, but they could also have functionality as well. The problem with that is that those templates, those themes are not necessarily coded in the most user-friendly way. So it can be problematic. So you may install a particular theme, and then you start using some plugins, which are add-ons that you can get from third parties, some free, some paid, and they can conflict with things, etc., etc. So yeah, you have to, as a WordPress professional, you have to understand the ecosystem. So when one of your jobs, let's say you're a freelance WordPress professional, one of your jobs is to be able to filter all that out for your clients, know which themes are good, which are to be avoided, which plugins are useful, which aren't, that sort of thing. I use WordPress, but it's not like it's just for basic blogs and stuff like that. It's usable, isn't it? And also, when you're building out of theme from scratch, you have to understand the WordPress templating engine and so forth, which is more work than just building it from scratch with HTML and CSS. All right. So I think that the hate is somewhat warranted. But at the same time, WordPress is so widely used. If you're a WordPress professional, you could almost print money because so many small businesses depend on WordPress. Do you think there is a way, Wilfredo? Do you think there is a way for me to freelance as a Java developer? That would be difficult. I would take those Java skills and pivot into languages and stacks that are more friendly to freelancing, because Java is typically a language for large corporations, and they're not going to use freelancers. You may hire you as a contractor for 6-month contract or 3-month contract or 1-year contract. But freelancing, no. I wouldn't be freelancing too with Java, even though I was building from scratch, because it's too slow. Not at runtime. It runs very fast, very solid language. I've written a lot of Java in my day. It's just too slow to write in. You can get apps out the door much more quickly with nimble languages like PHP, Python, Ruby, etc., etc., etc. Exactly. Let's Encrypt. That's the free SSL. It's called Let's Encrypt. Thank you, Mark Anthony Jones, for reminding me. That's what it is. Let's Encrypt. If you're using cPanel-based hosting, just see the hosting companies. They probably have it. Let's Encrypt. It works. When you are working as a web developer for an employer, will they tell you what to build and give you designs, or do you have to do that for yourself as a developer? It depends on the place you work for. Typically, it will be in your job description of what they expect you to be able to do. So there you go. But if they hire you strictly as a developer, you're going to be writing code, development code. So that's the story there. Yeah, so by the way, if you guys are interested in understanding, what does it mean to be a JavaScript programmer versus a C++ programmer in terms of the type of work you're going to do and the type of places you might work for, and many other languages, by the way, there's a link below. It's a free webinar. Just join my newsletter. I don't spam. You may get a newsletter once, two times a week, maybe. You can subscribe anytime, and you get a 29-minute video you can watch for free, which goes through all the languages. So you're interested in the career of programming, this is a very good video for you. Why do I do the newsletters? I just started doing them again because I just want to be in direct contact, because I've heard from so many people that they don't get notifications from YouTube. So I figured I should just be in direct contact with the audience. How are we doing for time? Okay, 30 minutes. Okay, it's going to be a short stream because I got to get off soon. But what's been your best marketing strategy to find new clients? It depends on the type of business. It's basically exposure. Stefan Mishchak, no static this time. All right, good. That's good. Yeah. So I had a second mic before, so I'm just using this mic now. I hope the sound is clear for you guys. I watched before your video about JS versus Django. Okay, cool. BK Flash says, when will you turn 170 years old? Thank you for your time answering your questions. I really appreciate it. No problem. No problem. Does a paid SSL not give you more reliability protection? I don't know, man. It's like, I think that's a sales sketch. I think Let's Encrypt is pretty good for most people. Can you please comment on Python, this Python C hybrid? I have not used it, so I do not know if how good that is. Thanks for the answer, no problem. But I want to check if Django is the real future best web framework over Node.js. I think both will be around for years, so I wouldn't be too concerned. Can you program a simple mobile games with Visual Studio C#? I don't know. That's a good question. I would imagine you could. I guess with Xamarin, I don't know. I imagine you could. It's hard to work with, and largely PHP. It's hard to work with. I'm not sure what that is. Yes, use Unity. Oh, there you go. Yeah, of course. I guess Unity outputs to mobile, I suppose. There you go. Should I spend more time learning new programming language stack versus getting better at fundamentals, patterns, and architectures? If you want to become a better programmer, you have one or two languages that you use and work on patterns and architecture and refactoring. Patterns, design patterns, architecture, and refactoring for most programmers are far more important than understanding algorithms and data structures. Of course, any basic, like my Python course, my JavaScript course, my PHP course, I teach basic algorithm. I teach you some basic stuff. I teach you some basic data structures. You have to, like, an array, and how to manipulate it, But there's a lot of data structures that they teach in computer science that you'll never touch in your programming career. For most people anyway. Hey, Stefan, I just started coding. I started studying coding, and I'm choosing between React Native and Flutter. Any suggestions? Thanks. Yeah, try, spend like a week on each, see which one you like better. There's more jobs right now in React Native, and it might be for the next foreseeable future. I don't have a crystal ball in that regard. Both are good choices, though. But more jobs are React Native, if that's your concern. In my humble opinion, WordPress hate is mostly ignorance. There's nothing wrong with WordPress core. Exactly. WordPress core is pretty good, as I was suggesting before. Beside for the people says, there are many options out there for people looking for opportunities to look into trade schools. They pay as much as these tech degrees. Yeah, for sure. Why not? I've had people graduate from my Studioweb after 3 months, beating out people to jobs who had computer science degrees. A lot of times the computer science programs are too abstract. They teach people about they teach people about algorithms and data structures, but they don't teach them how to actually write productive code. I want to learn a new programming language. What do you think I should learn first, Java or JS? I already know some C#. I don't know what to study for a future job. Thank you, from Morocco. Well, if you went into Java, it's going to be very similar to C#. So you'll probably get your head wrapped around Java in a week, if not sooner. If you get into JS world, you're going to complain about the language because it's loosey-goosey. What do I mean by that? It's not as strict. It's not as strict as Java or C#, but it will introduce you to a different realm of programming. C# and Java programming, they kind of play, generally speaking, in the same space, whereas JavaScript, it's much more varied. So, play around. Both are good. You can't lose either way. What do you think about freelancing opportunities in C language? Very little. I imagine C language is all going to be, at best, jobs or contract work. Oh yeah, let's go. Get pumped. All right. What's your favorite programming language? Depends on what I like to do. Like in my career, I loved Java back in the day. I know it sounds silly. I have a lot of fond memories with Java. Maybe because I built that dating site with Java. And when you build a dating site with Java, Java becomes a lot more fun, I have to tell you. These days, Studioweb is built with PHP Laravel. So that's generally last 10 years or so is the for web app development, that's generally the go-to. I've done stuff in all kinds of different languages depending on the needs of the project. These guys on YouTube who work for a FANG company for 1 to 3 years and leave, what do you think? Their real fortune comes after 2 to 3 years? I don't know. It depends what level they're at, I don't know. I never worked for a FANG, so I could not say. Papa Diaz, how are you? Do you have any advice for a university student from Greece? I would have never guessed that. Thinking to go work to another European country, assuming having done mainly university course projects, what should I do to find a job? I talk about this all the time. I got to put a FAQ. How to get a job. You put up a resume site, you do 2 to 3 project courses for people for free, so you have some real world experience to show, and then you start looking for jobs based on that. What do you think about CDNs? Are you talking about CDNs, like content delivery networks? I think they're good. I think they're very good. We use them. It's a way of distributing the load, How do you feel about freelance work where the client continuously changes scope? Well, you got to take Steve Barnard. You should take my freelance course, and I'll teach you how to prevent that. That's called feature creep, and that's on you because you're not managing your client properly. You have to learn to manage your client's expectations properly if you want to be a successful freelancer. All right. What is the best way to learn Android? Write code. Google now recommends Kotlin as their #1 choice. So you probably learn Kotlin, although you can do it in Java, of course. Ethan says, also, is refactoring design patterns applicable for web development and full stack? 100%. 100%. For me, I've been coding since 1994. I worked on projects for Merck, Avantis. I worked on projects for big banks, major telcos. I've run my own SaaSes. I have one now. I've been coding for a while. And I can tell you, you learn your fundamentals, number one. Number two, you start writing real code. Then you want to get into refactoring, best practices, design patterns, and architectures. You learn the basics of algorithms, and you learn the basics of data structures, very basics, the basic types, int, string, long, float, boolean, etc. And then you just go from there. So yeah, definitely. You want to get into design patterns and refactoring in a big way. Although when you do get into the design patterns world, people like to come up with all kinds of crazy permutations. They invent these design patterns that are like, there's typically in your career, you're going to be using a handful of design patterns at most, typically. So it's going to be MVC. That's like probably the most important one out there. You'll be using iterable. You'll be using facade. You'll probably be using something called dependency injection or filtering, as I used to call it. And once you got those design patterns are pretty good. There's others out there, but those are the keys. So yeah, definitely. Do you see that Bryphon, I never heard of Bryphon, will get more popular? So I would say it will stay niche. I think, Stefan, all hail the cult of JavaScript. Yeah. My general thinking about software development languages that we're not going to see anytime soon any new language take over the game. I think that the current established languages, the top ones, C, C++, PHP, Java, C#, JavaScript, Python, these languages are very dominant. And in fact, these are all languages 20, 30 years old, and some, I think C is older. And they're so dominant, they're so old and dominant that they're even rising in popularity. Like Python is becoming even more popular. Now, apparently, Go and Rust are starting to gain some ground, but they're way low. So it's all about those languages for sure. Okay. So what are we doing here? All right. Yes, of course. Ruby apparently is falling. It's getting less and less popular. What type of work can I do if I know Django backend development? You can do Django backend development work. WebStack, of course. Chad Farrington says, Stefan, do you think it's important to get comfortable with other environments such as Linux, or are you okay with just Windows? Learning Linux is something you learn on a need-to-nerd basis. That's one of my principles. The need-to-nerd principle is, it's copywritten. All joking aside, the need-to-nerd principle is what any experienced developer will tell you. You learn Linux if you need to learn Linux, right? You don't go out there learning things unless you have to, after you do your basics. Because trust me, you'll find yourself in jobs and in situations where you will have to learn things. Part of your job as a developer, by the way, is to learn things quickly. Hey, Bot OP says, fellow Montrealer here. Hey, cool. As a developer, working a regular software job, though. That's cool, man. Stef Ice Cream says, I joined Jiu-Jitsu, been on for almost a month. Very cool, dude. Very cool. Yeah, that's it's good training, man. Watch your elbows. Don't be afraid to tap out. Don't be a jock, because somebody wrenches your arm or your neck. That could be a long-term injury. So don't, if somebody's got you in something, don't fight it. You're not fighting for your life. Just let it, just tap before he hyperextends, or she. Good morning from Cyprus. Just got up in time for this. Hey, cool, man. Well, welcome to the stream, Alex. Thanks for joining. By the way, if you guys like this the stream, please do give me a thumbs up. It's good for the Google algos. Minato Uzumaki. I hope I said that right. I feel it's kind of... Oh, let me get this in the stream. I feel it's kind of a waste of time to learn TypeScript. It's just a matter of time till JavaScript catch up with TypeScript. What do you think? I feel like TypeScript will go away. If I understand what you're saying, Minato, if I said that right. Yeah, if they start, I don't know, if they're going to start modifying JavaScript accordingly, I'm not sure. Anyway, you know, if you know JavaScript, for you to learn TypeScript will take you a few days. And so learn it if you feel there's a need for it, like there's a job opportunity happening or something. Other than that, I would put TypeScript as one of those specialized languages, but you learn it on a need-to-nerd basis. Good question. Hey, Arthur, how are you? Nice to see you. Thanks for joining my stream. A lot of fun. No, TypeScript will not go away, but it's still JavaScript underneath, not hard to learn. Exactly. One of the messages I try to convey on this channel is that as a professional developer, you have to understand that you will be doing different languages over time. Not all the time. You may spend 2-3 years doing Java, and then you pivot into C#, and then you might pivot, you might do C++. But as you get more experience, depending on your role at the company, you may find yourself working in 2-3 languages in a given month. And they may say, we want you to learn PHP to do this thing here. So you learn it. So your job as a developer is to learn, be able to learn quickly, whether it be new libraries, new frameworks, new languages, new environments. And so most of the tech out there is something you just learn on a need-to-nerd basis. You have to see other principles. So if TypeScript comes up, you learn it. If you know JavaScript, for you to learn TypeScript will be pretty simple. So I wouldn't be so concerned. Yazim, how do we become a software engineer? I'm confused because I know some Python and C++ from school, but I really wonder if this is us too kind of coding software engineering. It's software engineer, computer scientist. It's a distinction without a difference these days. Some will be doing certain types of coding. Some will be doing certain other types of coding. That's it. You know, of course, a software engineer would argue maybe we work with hardware and we do software and we experiment. And the computer science people might say, no, we're more application developers. But all these things kind of blend into each other. It's like something one of my martial arts teachers used to tell me, fighting. I say, what's the difference between an amateur fighter and a professional fighter? And he said to me, the professional fighter gets paid to fight. Hi, Stef. What do you think would be the minimum skills required in order to obtain a junior web dev job? Depends on the company. Depends on the company. But if you're doing web dev, you should be able to build a site, comfortable HTML5, CSS3. You don't have to be a master, but you can put together a site that's responsive. You know what responsive is. You understand the request response cycle, the stateless nature of the internet. The web rather. You understand client-server model. You can maybe do some server-side programming. That all comes into play. All right. I hope that helps. If you don't understand any of this, check the links below. Shameless self-promotion. I teach all that. Does not easily understanding other people's code reflect knowledge gap I have? Not necessarily. A lot of times it could reflect the fact that the code is hard to understand. Depending on if it's well-written code, it should be easy. But of course, they may be implementing some aspects of the language that you've never used before. They may be using a certain design pattern you're not familiar with. That's okay. Nobody knows everything. When you were a kid, were you encouraged to be independent, or did your family tell you that the world was too big for you? I became independent because of my life's experience. No, they never did that. They never said the world was too big for me. If they say that to you, you should ignore them. Your beliefs will limit you or give you opportunity. So yeah, so if your parents are telling you that, Todd, they're wrong. They are wrong. You can do a lot if you put your mind to it, but you got to put your mind to it and you got to be consistent. Mohammed says, give us a good advice from your experience in tech fields. Thanks. Learn your fundamentals. Get out there, start writing real code. Develop good communication skills. Develop good refactoring skills. And keep refining. Stay relaxed. Don't try to get yourself in decent shape. If you're overweight, it's going to affect your ability to think. So you want to try to bring yourself back into harmony there. Drink lots of water, eat healthy, sleep well. All these things add up. Hi, Stef. Is there a lot of pro content on the mentorship program that's not included in the courses? Yes, and more is coming. More and more is coming. The big value of the mentoring program, my mentoring program, links below, I opened it up again, is you get access to the private Zoom meetings. We have a bunch of them in archive. You can watch a lot of Q&A there, a lot of conversation we get in. There's content in there that's not included anywhere else. I'm adding more to it as well, depending on what the the group wants, you know. But everything is there. It's really there for total guidance. I teach you how to write good software. We do site reviews for people. People ask about certain client projects they have and want to get input from me. People have resume things discussed, job issues discussed. It's really your chance with the mentoring group is to leverage my 3 decades of experience, well, 2.5, plus other people now who have been there a year. And we have a nice core group, and we're expanding that now. And they're developing experience. So when you join, you meet people who are total beginners. You meet people who are doing jobs now, people who are freelancing, people who are working for other people. You can have some people doing Python, some people doing JavaScript, some people doing WordPress. So the mentorship program is my most premium training. It has a lot of stuff, but the courses are great too. You get all access to all the courses, all the certifications as well. Have you ever been to Morocco? No, I have not, but that's one of the places I want to go. I hear it's fantastic. Thank you very much for your answers. Not a problem. Stefan, late night. Thanks for answering my questions. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining the stream, dude. Take care, Aaron. Stay humble on the mat. Got it. Exactly. Don't let them, don't try to fight. If they got you, you may be able to get out of the arm bar, but it's not worth cranking it. Just tap, whatever. You know, jiu-jitsu is a lot of it's about being relaxed and positioning. So you don't want to fall, you want to stay out of that position. You don't want to ever get to this, you know, you don't want to get that arm out there. How do you deal with obsession for perfection? Welcome to my world. Yeah, you have to learn the good enough principle. You know, you just got to get it out the door. Remember, software development is an iterative process. First pass, not perfect, come back, refine, That's how I write too, by the way. So yeah, you just got to have to learn to let go. That's psychological. Again, links below. You should do my Lizard Wizard course. It helps you with all that. It's going to change your whole perception of reality. It's my psych course, very advanced. And I also have Lizard Wizard KOMODO, which is a 5-lesson training delivered over email. You could take that. By the way, let me know, how's the sound? I guess the sound is good. And the video quality is good. You can see clearly. You can hear clearly, everybody. How are we doing for time? Oh, almost an hour or so. I'll answer a couple more questions. I got to get going. Greetings to the T-Rex of programming. Exactly. Alberta, very cool. Zachariah, is there a way to train yourself to get the same level as professionals? Of course. Is this writing code, dude? I have not used Svelte, so I do not know. How much salary do you settle down for in your first job ever as programming in a company? Try to find something reasonable. But the first job, really, dude, is to train yourself. Train yourself. Your first job, FISO, is to just get that training. It's an opportunity to really solidify your skills. So look at it that way. Try to get as much as you can, but of course, when you get your first job, you're not going to make nearly as much typically than you will when you have a year or two of experience. Then it starts to really shoot up. ES6 is vanilla JavaScript. It's just a version of the language. Yeah, ES6 adds a few more features. That's about it. It's not like once you know JavaScript, for you to learn ES6, it's like, it's got a different operator. It's got a new way of declaring variables, const and let, which has certain little subtle advantages, so it allows you to debug the code a little bit better. Yeah, it's not a big deal. Daniel Netzel says, hey, Stefan, I'm familiar with Python, and recently I have been working with PowerShell. Good, and enjoying it quite a bit. Very cool, man. Does PowerShell fit anywhere in a developer's toolkit, or is it more of an ops tool? Well, if you're doing ops, then you're going to use PowerShell. You may become a DevOps specialist, perhaps, but it's a need to nerd tech. And if you like doing DevOps, you may want to get into that whole area. It's not what I do. I'm not a specialist there, but I'm sure it's good. But it's a peripheral skill set. It's peripheral skill set, if you know what I mean. This is core, peripheral. All right, but it's cool, man. You can't lose by learning anything. Thank you very much. No worries. All right. Ethan says, hey, Steph, I know some Java, but I can't afford your fundamentals course for JavaScript. So how long does it take for me to learn fundamentals to start learning Java? Send me an email. Send me an email, Stefan at Studioweb, Ethan, and we'll fix you up. Programming is about problem solving, right? Yes, it is. How to choose what technology or framework to solve the problem depends on the problem. Certain languages lend themselves better for certain problems. So you have to study. You should go do my webinar. There's a link below. Free webinar, 29 minutes. It talks about all the major languages, C++ and JavaScript and Java and Python. What kind of work you can find yourself doing in each of those languages, what kind of jobs you would find yourself doing. That will help you a lot. So it's free. Just go, it's 29 minutes. My role is to automate IT request tasks, which involves full stack development and a lot of PowerShell. Now I'm a jack of all trades, master of none at 41. I feel like this was a big mistake. As long as you're getting paid, dude. As long as you're getting paid. Developers will often pivot from language to language from language. If you got jobs and you're getting paid, it's fine. Don't worry about it. And if you are worried about it, start looking around, researching job opportunities, and find out where the opportunities are in terms of languages, and then study that. Hi, Stefan, can I go React Native Flutter directly without learning native development? Yeah, you don't need to do native. You don't need to do native if you want to do that. Why is it hard to build something without a tutorial? Because it sounds like you need to bone up on your fundamentals. So many courses out there do not teach the fundamentals at all or well. So you have to bone up on your fundamentals. You know what I'm going to say? Links below. Hey, Steph, do you work with employers for potential new developers fresh from school? Do you work with employers for potential new developers fresh from school? Oh, you mean my students? I teach people how to do it, and we walk them through in the mentoring group and so on. If I understand your question. What about Google automation with IT? What about it? In terms of jobs, I couldn't say. Any advice for absolute beginners? Start coding. Just start learning to code. Do a fundamentals course. That's. I'll answer a few more questions, but let me point this out. One of the common mistakes people like to make, and I remember I used to make it too, back in the day, They want to get to professional level skills as quickly as possible. So what they think, the key to that is to go right into projects-based courses and do it from there. No, the key is the opposite. The key is to learn, if you want to get there fast, you learn your fundamentals. And as you do your fundamentals, you do small little projects, and more quickly than not, you are going to get to professional level much more quickly if you concentrate on your fundamentals at first. All right, guys. Thanks for joining the stream. I have to go. I have 20 minutes. I got to step on to something else. So thanks for joining the stream. Like I said below, if you're curious about what the type of work you're going to get depending on the language, you can check out my webinar below. It's free. It's free. So that's what it is, okay? For me, it has often been something like tutorials, W3 School, docs. Exactly. Once you learn your fundamentals, though, then going to W3 Schools and going to right to the docs becomes super quick and easy. All right. So I hope that was useful. Thanks for joining the stream, everybody. I'm going to leave you with my little ASMR video. If you like the stream, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. Docs makes no sense when you're new to it. Exactly. That's why you got to learn your fundamentals. When you know your fundamentals, the docs become very easy. Thanks, guys. I'm glad I could help. Thanks for joining the stream. Enjoy the weekend. Get some sun if it's sunny for you out there. And we'll talk soon.